Hi, everyone. Good evening and welcome to CYSO's Getting into College 101 Masterclass via Facebook Live. Hello, everybody watching online. I'm Susie Lape. I'm CYSO's Executive Director, and we are so excited to welcome all of you to this presentation featuring four really wonderful panelists who will be sharing their knowledge about the admissions and audition process, as well as scholarships, financial aid, and general good to know information for students preparing for the college admissions process, particularly students who want to go on in music. So we're excited to hear from them. First of all, CYS always likes to remind everyone that while these are four really respected and wonderful programs that you'll hear perspectives from tonight, we don't recommend any higher education option over any other one. We just think the most important thing is that students are able to find a college option that is the right fit for them, and to know that you're the most informed that you can be in making that choice. So we are excited for you to learn about various options and feel like you are empowered to make decisions that'll serve you well in the future as you enter into this college admissions process. To get us started, our panelists are going to be sharing with you some information that we are hoping will answer many of the questions that you will have, and then we will address some questions that were submitted prior to this Facebook Live, and then questions that have been submitted in the chat and in the comments under the Facebook Live video. So you can see where the comments are. Please do ask questions. We will try to get to all of them. You can ask a question of a specific panelist or of everyone in general, and then we'll make sure we get to all of those at the end. So with that, let me introduce our four panelists, who are Molly Boes Ganza, who is Associate Dean of Fine Arts Recruitment at St. Olaf College, Belmary Lorcas, who is Admissions and Recruitment Manager at Curtis Institute of Music, Angela Tammen, who is Admissions Director at the University of Illinois School of Music, and Adrienne Thompson, who's Director of the Chicago Musical Pathways Initiative here in Chicago. So with that, would our panelists care to introduce themselves? Why don't we begin with Molly?
Yes, hello everyone. It's so great to be with you tonight. I work for St. Olaf College, where I'm also a graduate, and I was a Bachelor of Arts in Music major there. I played bassoon. That was my primary instrument. And after St. Olaf, I did go on and actually receive my master's in music therapy. However, I am so overjoyed to be in the admissions world, working with you all and your families throughout the process. At St. Olaf, I oversee our fine arts scholarship process for the admissions office. St. Olaf being a small liberal arts college located in Northfield, Minnesota, which is about 40 minutes south of Minneapolis, St. Paul, not too far from the Chicago area. We have a great track record of Chicagoans coming to Minnesota. And for our fine arts scholarships, we do offer scholarships in music, theater, art, dance. We also have a new scholarship this year called our Emerging Musician Scholarship for students who play instruments or have musical interests that don't fit into our traditional classical music world. And then I also oversee the pre-admission to the music major as well, and the application processes that are associated with those. So I look forward to answering your questions tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Belmary Lorcas. I work now currently as admissions manager at Curtis Institute of Music. I would love to share with you. I'm originally from Venezuela, so I'm so excited to be sharing with you my perspective as international student as well. Also, my daughter went to college, already graduated from college, so excited to share with you also about my time as looking for college. And here at Curtis, I have been here for the past 4 years, and excited to be working in admissions and supporting all of you, our faculty, your parents too, and all families as well. Thank you, CYSO, for having us today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Angela Tammen, just down the road here at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. I am the director of admissions for the School of Music, and like most of the other who have already spoke, I'm also a musician. I got my master's and my doctorate from the University of Illinois in oboe performance. So I'm happy to be here and share any thoughts that I have with you from the perspective of a large Research One institution, and also my own thoughts as a musician who's gone through the process many times myself. Thank you.
And I'm Adrienne Thompson, and I'm also happy to be with you today. So I come from the perspective, well, several perspectives actually, because I have had a career as a high school orchestra teacher. So I had an opportunity to help guide students who were interested in music. And, you know, during the time, the 4 years that are there, you have an opportunity to kind of help say, oh, you should do this, or you're gonna have to get a step up instrument, or you probably should prepare for this audition or go for this camp. I also have had the opportunity to send children and help them through the process of preparing for music school auditions. So 2 of my children went to Curtis Institute of Music, 1 went to Manhattan School of Music, another went to Manus Jazz and Contemporary Division in New York. That's part of the new school. And so I know what they did in order to prepare for those auditions. And now I have an opportunity to work with young people, 6th grade through 12th grade, who are also, as part of the Chicago Musical Pathways Initiative, they are also going through all of the steps now to kind of prepare to have a successful audition when they are seniors in high school, so that they can also take the next steps in preparing for a classical music career, usually, but there are many things in music where they could possibly end up as a career once they have received all their training.
Thanks, Adrienne, and lots of folks who've walked this path before, all of you viewing. So we're excited to share their perspectives and knowledge with you. As you all know, all of you watching, parents, families, kids, you are in a school that has a guidance counselor that's probably providing some assistance with college admissions navigation. And so for the most part, we'll touch on a few topics which would apply to anyone applying to college, but for the most part, we'll focus on what do music students in particular need to think about, because that's one area of knowledge that not every guidance counselor always knows, and we're able to, give you the inside scoop here. So we'll begin with, if everyone would, in like the same order, like to touch on the question of what are the major differences between a university school of music and a conservatory of music as students are kind of shopping through their various options.
Yes, I'm actually going to add a third category, and that is the liberal arts college, which is what St. Olaf College is. As a liberal arts college and a music department within that college, you can either choose 2 paths. We do offer both a Bachelor of Arts degree in music, as well as a Bachelor of Music degree. And this is something that you're going to want to look for no matter which college you are applying to. Is which degree type you are looking for. With our Bachelor of Arts in Music, it is still performance-based, so you have to take lessons, participate in ensemble, but you only spend about 1/3 of your time within the music department. The other 2/3 of your time are spent double majoring, taking classes outside of your major, general education classes, things like that. Within the Bachelor of Music degree, about 2/3 of your classes would be in music, leaving you that other 1/3. You could do a double degree if you would like, but you can also take other classes, general education requirements. So it is a place where the music department is much more incorporated into the full academic experience, and your academics are very highly considered in your admission to the college. Your music application is equally as important, but you cannot be admitted to the music program without a strong academic application as well. Belmary?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, Curtis Institute of Music, as many of you know, is a very small school. We are a music conservatory located in Center City, Philadelphia, with a superb array of cultural attractions within walking distance, which is great. We have an enrollment of only 154 students. And we just accept just enough students to maintain a full orchestra, symphony orchestra, and opera program, plus select programs in piano, guitar, conducting, composition, and organ. We also have a program for alumni. It's called Curtis Community Artist Fellowship, and we have a string quartet in residence as well. All our students, they receive a very personalized instruction and high quality training in a small environment tailored to high musical and artistic achievement. With our philosophy of learn by doing is the belief that the best way to become a great performer is to perform. So our students perform, we have approximately 200 performances a year. And Curtis Education emphasizes all the performance aspect in all the student life, including as well a complete and diversified musical training plus liberal arts courses. All the performance experiences that the students have, I believe, are augmented by the musical studies courses that they take, liberal arts courses that they take, and also career studies. We also have, when students complete Curtis liberal arts courses, there is an opportunity for them to enroll at no cost at the University of Pennsylvania for additional courses if they already completed a bachelor degree liberal arts courses in our school. If they are no more available, they can take some additional courses with the University of Pennsylvania. And since we are a very, very small school, something that is really cool that students get to know each other. So I think that's something important for you to know. Also, students have access to multiple teachers in their major instrument. I think that's also good to know. Classes are very small and tailored to the individual needs, of course. The admissions and process of auditions is the same for all degrees and all ages as well. There is no age to apply to our conservatory. No minimum age, no late age as well. And I will say, just talking about college and conservatory, university, what I would like to say is that you have to consider the setup that you want to, depending on what you are looking for. If you like a small setting versus large setting, or a small town versus city, those are very important factors that you will need to consider and important to check. And definitely the decision about where to apply is based on your goals, and to find an environment where you consider you will thrive and challenge yourself, of course. Who's next? Sorry.
So, yeah, the University of Illinois is often, the School of Music is often thought of as a conservatory within the Research One institution context. And a lot of the things that Molly said true also for the University of Illinois. We value your talent very much, but we also value the academics and what you're bringing to the table in terms of that. And one of the kind of unique things maybe about a university or a liberal arts school as compared to a conservatory is you have access at many other departments outside of music that might interest you. So there are a number, of course, you know this, there's a number of different colleges at the University of Illinois. And if you had an interest in taking language courses or science courses, specific courses, you can benefit from the faculty of the university at large. So that's a big difference between what I see as between the conservatory and the university setting. At U of I, our program is around 700 students. So it is quite a bit bigger than what Curtis or a conservatory program would be. But it's important to keep in mind that the nature of music is that you're participating in ensembles with your peers, you're going to the same sorts of music courses. So there's a lot of connection building that happens naturally within music. With your peers in your major. And so there's a really nice community within the School of Music, even though we are a little bit larger and we're in a university of 40,000 people here. There's still the opportunity to get to meet and know the peers and your peers in your major.
So when I think about conservatory, and describing the difference, the biggest thing that I would say is that you are usually taking all of the classes that you're taking are music classes, except for one class a semester. And so if that's something that you really want to concentrate on, then you have the opportunity to just totally immerse yourself in that environment. That was what my bachelor's degree was like. I am happy to report that in college, I did not take a history class, and I did not write a big paper that I had to make sure that I notated the quotes and attributed the sources correctly, and that was completely fine with me. But as Belmary also let you know that if you do have a particular interest, say if you're interested in astronomy, then you would be able to go to a partner institution and just take astronomy or whatever you are interested in without having to worry about, having to take everything that would be required to actually have a major. So it's kind of, when you go to the university, so if you have a wide variety of interests, then going to a university where you have access to everything is another choice.
Thank you all. That was a really expansive overview. And I'll just put a plug in that I know we have CYSO current students and alumni students who are happy and thriving at all three of these places. So if you're visiting these three schools and want to have lunch with somebody nice, we probably know them and can arrange that so you can think about fit in the context of three very different environments. Okay, next, how important is it on similar topic, how important is it for students to research the schools that they're applying to? Adrienne, would you like to start that one?
Yes. So would you buy a package where something just comes in the mail, you don't know what's in the box, and you find out what's in the box when you open the package? I wouldn't want to do that. And I remember, like, let's make a deal where you have to pick what's behind the door, and sometimes you get a car and sometimes you get junk. And so that's the analogy that I want to share with you, is that when you go to college, it is a really good thing for you to know what you want to get out of it. And so therefore, you have some kind of criteria in trying to determine what is the best place for you. You're going to spend a lot of time there. You hope that you get good scholarships so you don't have to spend a lot of money, but you will spend some money. So it's really, really important for you to have an idea of what it is that you think you want and what that school can do for you. It is particularly important for music majors to know about things like, because you're going to spend a lot of time with your teacher, you may have a lesson, you may have a studio class, they may be coaching you on something else, and you're going to be with that teacher for 4 years. So it's really important that you like that teacher. It's important that you know where the teacher's students before you have gone, so that you can kind of see if that teacher is preparing students for where you think your musical career might take you. And so I wouldn't buy a box and not know what's in it. And so that's what I encourage you to do some research so you know that what you're getting is the right fit for you.
Yeah, thanks, Adrienne. And on that same topic of fit and how do you know that it's the right fit for you before you make this big commitment, a thing really particular to music school is that often students will take a trial lesson with a prospective teacher to see about that chemistry. Belmary, would you like to speak a little bit about, is it important, and if so, how do you arrange for a trial lesson and or an interview or some kind of meeting with a member of faculty before you submit your application?
Sure. Well, thank you, Adrienne, because that's totally right. Students need to research. Definitely about informational lessons or trial lessons is, I think it's a little bit complex, because can you imagine if all faculty teaching in a school, I cannot imagine faculty teaching informational lessons plus all their schedule. So I think it's a little bit complicated for faculty in general, right? But still, I'm sure many of them will be, there are ways to engage with them somehow, and they will be happy to engage with you somehow, with prospective students. So I will say, if you have the opportunity to take a lesson with faculty, great, that would be fantastic. If you don't take a lesson, that's great too. You know, the best way, what I have found for students to connect with faculty and what is going on in our school, for example, is to connecting with current students. This fall, for example, we are setting up Zoom sessions, weekly sessions, where we have prospective students speaking with our admissions ambassadors. And I think that's the best way for them to connect. They learn a lot about what is going on in their studio. And also another way that is happening to us is like, yes, we get a lot of inquiries via admissions@curtis.edu, and I'm excited to respond all of them. But as you know, at Curtis, I mean, in all the schools, faculty are really busy teaching or performing, so it's hard to set up any informational session or trial lesson, as sometimes it's called. So students also, they learn, they are applying, they are using social media to reach out to faculty. They are using also, they go to their websites and send them messages. So that's great. So they will find a way to connect. So what I'm saying is, like, there are many ways for you to connect with faculty using all the tools that we have: social media, websites, your mentors, your faculty, alumni, as Susan was mentioning before as well. In all these institutions, And the best for me is current students. I have found current students wants to talk to, prospective students wants to talk with current students, no alumni. Sometimes they want to talk just with current students. And I think that's the best way to learn about what is going on at school.
I would just echo what Belmary says, and don't hesitate to reach out. All of us are in this profession because we love connecting with you and sharing information about our schools. And I know that somewhere in this event, we will be sharing our contact information later. So if that's an easy starting place because you know our faces now, feel free. And we are also all friends with each other or know each other at other schools too. So we are able to answer questions like the ones we're answering tonight for you. But not being afraid to reach out also goes for faculty. It goes for general admissions offices. We know that college is a big decision and we want to give you all the information we can. So we can help you set up those private lessons on occasion or tours of the buildings, because 4 years of your life is a long time, but it goes by really quickly as well. And we want to help you find the place that is right for you. And as you are doing that, even in this time of COVID, when it's a little bit tricky, fortunately, from the college the college search side of things, many of our colleges now have virtual tours and many, many more ways to interact with us virtually than we did prior to the pandemic. So do your research, but also don't hesitate to reach out at any point.
And I just wanted to jump into and say, I do think that it's important when it comes to trial lessons. Everybody has a different learning style. All the faculty have a different teaching style. And how you learn might not work well with how they teach. So that's why that trial lesson is so important. And as Molly said, it doesn't hurt to reach out. One thing to keep in mind when you do reach out to faculty at different institutions is that sometimes faculty will charge students for prospective lessons. Sometimes they will do that for free because they're trying to recruit students. I would say that that's not necessarily it's mostly probably a reflection of their time, as what Belmary was saying, and how busy they are, because they have personal lives and performing lives that they have to attend to too. So when you're reaching out to faculty, it wouldn't be a good idea to just double check to see if they will be charging for that prospective student lesson, just so that you don't find yourself in an awkward position at the end of the lesson.
Yeah, that's good decorum to remember, and very helpful. Thank you. Next, a topic of our times is how were the application, audition, and admissions processes affected by COVID-19? Are you all seeing that change or remain consistent with past years? And what do students need to know? And Angela, would you like to take that one?
Sure, this is a huge topic, and from the perspective of really quickly the academic side of your application, the university is looking at grades pass, fail. A lot of schools have become test optional because ACT and SAT test seats were tricky and maybe unsafe to do that test. So a lot of changes on the academic side of the application. As far as auditions go, this year is going to be different at every institution that you're applying to. Every state has different rules as far as mask mandates go, and the institutions in those states have to abide by whatever the state rules are in their particular state. So it's important. It's kind of on you as an applicant, and I don't envy you if you're applying this year, because it's a tricky process that's going to be made even more tricky by COVID. But it's really on you to research each individual institution's and policies and protocols. Some institutions are a lot of institutions are going back to doing live auditions this year, but some are only doing recorded or virtual auditions. Some institutions will require you to be vaccinated if you're doing an in-person audition. It just depends on each individual institution. Another thing I wanted to note that is if you are doing a live audition, be sure to ask or collect the information as to whether or not you have to perform your audition with a mask on or not. Because that's another one of those things that's going to be partially dictated by the rules and the policies in each particular state. At Illinois, I think it's has pretty strict rules as far as mask mandates go. And what we are working on is making it possible for students to audition without a mask on, especially for the wind and voice students. But it wouldn't be a bad idea to practice, auditioning or playing your instrument with your mask on and being in that height, because the policies are also always changing. So we don't know what is going to be the rules until maybe even just a week before your audition. So I would definitely recommend practicing, researching all of the different schools that you're applying to and what their policies are, and then practicing your audition with a mask on and with a mask off. I know as an oboe player, I just did a performance yesterday and it's very tricky, even just to play with your mask on, even just to have your mask on right up until you perform and then take the mask off and play. That's even tricky. So think about all these things that we never had to think about before when you're preparing for your audition and you're practicing this year.
Thank you. Really good to keep in mind. Well, so to continue that line of reasoning, normal audition stuff to consider, which is always a large topic because it also varies from place to place. So if we'd like to go Molly, Belmary, Angela, and then Adrienne to talk about various things that students are considering with the audition process, pre-screening, if that's something that your institution does, tips about auditioning, how to avoid over practicing or building a schedule that wears you out by the end of audition season, and then any other tips and tricks that you want to recommend. So Molly.
Yes, absolutely. The first thing I'm going to tell you is read the websites, and on the websites, you will often find the requirements, and make sure that what you submit meets the requirements that we are asking for. That is a really easy way that faculty and application reviewers say yes or no, is can you follow those basic instructions of including what we've asked for. At St. Olaf this year, we will be continuing not having live auditions this year. So your total scholarship and acceptance to the music major will be based on your music application and pre-recorded videos that are submitted with those applications. The music application is separate from the common application, which you will also need to submit. The common application is used for your academic scholarships and admission to St. Olaf itself. The music scholarship and those pre-screen recordings that are now being used as the final recordings are for the music scholarships and admission to the music major. You do not have to be a music major at St. Olaf to apply for music scholarships and receive those. When you are submitting those videos, just a few tips on that is have someone else in the room help you. Talk to your private lesson teacher, talk to any school directors, because often if they are teaching you music, they have gone through this process at some point in their life. And they are going to help give you good tips on repertoire suggestions, as well as setting yourself up for a good video. When you upload those videos, make sure that they play, that the clips are correct. Do not try and piece together one piece. Most schools want one full take of the piece, but that is something you want to double check with each school. Is it, I need all of my pieces in one video, or each piece and scales and things is uploaded separately? So again, this is where it gets tricky. You'll want to keep a spreadsheet just to keep track of this information is my best suggestion for you. And then finally, keep track of the deadlines. Unfortunately, there is no common deadline for college. It can range from November 1st to March 1st, and sometimes even before and after that. At St. Olaf, we have 2 deadlines. You can choose either one, and you are given equal consideration on both of those. One is November 1st, the other is January 15th. But do not record your videos on January 14th. Everyone that I know that I've talked to that has started doing and planning recordings for the last day ends up with the flu, their camera breaks, something happens. So while it's good not to over practice, you should at least practice making a recording well in advance of the final due date to give yourself time and space to remember to breathe. Often when we're nervous, breathing in that lung capacity goes out the window. I like that there's 2 double reeds here, bassoon and oboe, and breathing is critical to making music, even for our piano and string players. So don't forget to take a breath, relax. We're looking for your best, and we know that that might not be perfect, and you should definitely choose repertoire that reflects who you are, but also meets the requirements that we're asking for. So Belmary, I think that's a good start for me.
Great, thank you. Yes. Well, among all the uncertainty that we have, right? We all have the good things that we will have auditions. So that's awesome, right? So we want to assure that at Curtis Institute of Music, the admission process actually is a 2-step process. The application process, which is via accepted, and then the audition process. And auditions this year, we are looking to do in live auditions, in-person auditions. That's our first option. And then if in-person auditions are not possible, we will be coordinating safe and equitable virtual live auditions. Also, I would like to point that we have pre-screening process, and in our school, actually, all departments are doing pre-screening, but percussion, organ, and guitar. Everything else, we have pre-screening, and all the requirements that repertoire is almost updated. I mean, it's updated, and the ones that are not updated yet, they will be released soon. So I really going to reinforce what Molly was saying about keeping an eye on the website. We weekly, I mean, you can check weekly all our websites just to check where we are with the protocols and procedures for this following admission process. We are all mindful about all the situations that we are experiencing in all around the world, of course. Pre-screening, sorry, I wanted to mention about pre-screening. I did that. We will open applications very soon. We haven't opened applications. We will. We are finalizing details, and the deadline will be approximately the first week or second week of December. And I just want to reinforce, keep looking at the website. If you don't find the information in our website, please email us at admissions@curtis.edu, and we will be happy to give you the information that we have at the moment. About tips for auditioning for the day of auditions, if you advance to live auditions, definitely practicing what you will be doing the day off is important. Mental preparation, walking throughout the day, checking that you have what you need, making sure you check your specific information you got from all the admissions team. And if you have questions, I'm sure you are going to hear this all night. Please ask questions. That's the major advice we are going to give you today, because reaching out means a lot, means that you are interested, and also that you are interested and that you are looking for support, and we are happy to provide you that, of course. Playing for your family, friends, mentors, teachers, that's the one way to prepare for auditions, of course. Also practice. This is an additional, of course, as we know these days, to practice for virtual live auditions. That's something that I would like to encourage you. We will be, if we do virtual live auditions, we will be using Zoom as we are doing today. And just practice with your teachers and friends, family, play concerts for your family via Zoom. That's something great. Also be prepared for the day off to just to be prepared, expect the unexpected. I think that's what it is. Like just in case somebody's stopping you, one of the faculties is stopping you, just be prepared to start the next piece or the next work they are asking you to perform by the moment. And I think practice is the key, of course. So practice what you will be doing that day. Also, as Molly said, don't forget to breathe. Even you are, everybody just take a deep breath all the time. Think about yourself. Your mental health is so important, and we just have to take care of ourselves and yourself, of course, to prevent injuries and anything else. Enjoy the process. I think that's important to mention. Just enjoy the whole process. Yeah, so I think that's all I would like to share about auditions. As Molly mentioned, keep track. I always recommend, as Molly said before, spreadsheets, Google, or paper. That's good. Just keep track of everything that you will need for each audition or each process, of course.
In addition to what Molly and Belmary were saying, as you decide what schools you're applying to and you look at the audition requirements for each of those schools, look for commonalities in the audition repertoire or things that you can duplicate across the different schools so that you're preparing for your audition with 5 or 6 pieces rather than 10 or 15. I might be exaggerating a little bit there, but you know what I mean. You want to be as prepared for each of these auditions as possible, so ways that you can reuse repertoire for each of the different institutions is a good idea. I remember when I was where you are right now, and I remember during the spring semester, because most all of the auditions are in January and February, feeling like I did not go to a full week of school for the first 8 weeks of school. It's tough. It's a grueling process. But I think one thing to remember, like what Belmary was saying, is enjoy the process. Maybe this I can only speak on behalf of the University of Illinois. The faculty, but probably everywhere, the faculty don't want to hear, they are looking for you to succeed. They're not looking for you to fail. So they're really on your side, even though the whole thing is set up to be this really scary process. They want to hear good auditions, okay? So they love music and they want to hear good music. So keep that in mind when you're auditioning. And if anything comes up, we've had so many things over the years. I dropped my instrument right before my audition. My reed broke, X, Y, and Z. Your admissions people at the different institutions are kind of your liaisons with the faculty or the process, and we can help you with all of those little types of things that come up. Get connected to somebody who can help you in that instance. So just, I guess all I wanted to say is that we're all rooting for you. Okay, we want you to do well. Okay.
So we think about preparation for auditions as something that we start coaching our students for and preparing them for at the end of their sophomore year. So at that time, we are asking them, what schools are you interested in? Who is the teacher that you are interested in studying with at that school. Why are you interested in it? And most of the time they can only answer part of it, but we start putting it front of mind for the students and their families at the end of their sophomore year. We ask them the same questions again at the in the fall of their junior year. Usually by that time, they are better able to explain what it is that they are looking for. We talk about the concept of, we don't want the school to pick you. We want you to pick the school. We started talking about trial lessons at that time, in terms of what is the strategy for that. Your repertoire has to be ready. As soon as your teacher thinks your repertoire is ready, it is okay to take a trial lesson during your junior year. It gives you a chance to go to the environment and feel comfortable with it. It gives you a chance to see what the teacher you are interested in studying with, what kind of suggestions they give you in terms of how you're working on the music and what you're trying to achieve, which means that you have an opportunity and you have enough time to go back and incorporate some of those things into your practice. And for teachers that you are really interested in, it also gives you an opportunity, if you have some people that are really high on your list, it also gives you an opportunity if you wanted to go back during your senior year and do one more check-in to see where your progress is, then it gives you a chance to kind of do that so that you can be as well prepared for that audition as possible. We talk about the concept of, we don't rely on luck, meaning we don't want you to go to your audition hoping that everybody else that auditioned plays worse than you, but we want you to be prepared for your audition, and we want you to feel like you did everything that you could to be prepared, so that no matter what the result is of the audition, you don't have any regrets because you know that you prepared to the very best of your ability. We talk to our students about, don't make the decision of the admissions office for them. Like, don't decide that you're not going to get in and so therefore you're not going to try. Make them do the work of actually telling you no if that's what they need to tell you. We tell them things like, they have to take somebody, so why can't it be you? Just in terms of what they're reaching for, we ask students to have dream schools. We ask them to have schools that that are schools that they are pretty sure that they will get into. And then we also ask them to put on their list schools that are kind of slam dunk schools that they know they're going to get into, and they know that they will probably get a good financial aid package from. So therefore, but we want them to research the school so that whatever school they do end up choosing, they are satisfied with it because they know that they will be able to get what they want. We encourage them to practice smart. We encourage them to practice a lot, but we encourage them to take breaks so that they are aware that injuries can happen and there's nothing good in that. We don't even discuss the word burnout. So you can talk to me about burnout after you've taken your last audition. Before then, I don't even want to hear it, because what we want the kids to know is that the competition may be more than what you think it is. So we don't stop, because when you're sleeping someplace, somebody somewhere on the other side of the world is practicing. So we just try to do this in kind of a measured, starting when they're juniors, we're trying to do this in a measured way so that there is no cramming at the end, so that you are as comfortable as you can be for your audition. So if you're in the audition room and say the light was to fall off the ceiling, you would just keep playing, because you just know your music so well that even on a bad day, you're going to do a great job. I also tell them that they can they can check with me, and I can tell them when it's okay for them to have fun, and usually the last audition. So we are just trying to be very deliberate, strategic about the students feeling like they have prepared in a systematic way to the best of their ability, and that so that, again, the whole process is for them to have no regrets, knowing that they did everything to the best of their ability. But we also had schools on their list that were also that are also so that they have a range of schools, and they'll be okay. At the end of the process, they'll still be okay.
Adrienne, that's a good mantra for life, to believe in yourself and give them your best stuff, and then check before you relax too much. It cracks me up. But yeah, that's great advice. Good mindset stuff to consider. And yeah, they got to pick somebody. So I love that. Next topic, which is a little bit more practical, because all of this is practical, but very top of mind for, I would say, probably all of our families, is how on earth do you afford college? And what are the various factors to consider there? Financial aid, loans, merit-based scholarships, need-based scholarships. How does that all work, especially in music? So Belmary, would you like to talk about that first?
Sorry. Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So about financial aid, in our school at Curtis, sorry, let me just find here. Yeah, as you know, Curtis is a free tuition school providing merit-based full tuition scholarships to all undergraduate and graduate students, regardless of their financial situation. No application is needed, a specific application is needed for that full tuition. But then regarding living expenses, students can be considered for financial aid for living expenses. I just want to share with you, if you're accepted at Curtis, you will work things out with you and your family to ensure that you can attend. And it is our goal that no student who is admitted to Curtis will be unable to attend due cost to afford living expenses. So it's a little bit different, of course, than other schools. And it is wonderful. And I would love if you are interested in learning also about what you can do if you need to pay living expenses. We have our director of financial aid, that she's wonderful. I know Adrienne knows her. She has been there, I think, for 30 years at school. Veronica McCulley, and she will support you and help you and provide you with opportunities in what to do for this topic about living expenses. But it is our goal, and it is already that if you are accepted to Curtis, is a free tuition, living expenses. We will find ways to help you. That's the most that I would like to share about Curtis tuition-free policy.
Adrienne, would you like to share your perspective on all this?
Yes. So the first thing that I do is to tell parents, do not go on the website to see how much the school costs. Don't do it. So the biggest thing that you're looking for on the website is you need to know what the repertoire is so that you know that you're practicing the right stuff. So in terms of money, it's like your goal is to audition high enough up in the queue so that you will be in line first when they start passing out financial aid. So the key to all of this in terms of being able to get what you need so that it is affordable for you to attend the school comes back again to practicing and being prepared for that audition. So if you are prepared and if you have selected your schools wisely, then usually you are going to get enough money that it brings it within the realm of the possible. And the other thing that we also do and talk about our students with are applying for other outside scholarships in addition to what the schools offer. We also talk to them about once they have been accepted, if it's a school that's really high on their list, then you're going to go back and talk to them again to see if they are able to do whatever it is or to help you with whatever it is that you need so that you will be able to attend the school. And so those conversations can happen between once you know you're accepted, and if you have a school that you really want to go to or a teacher that you really want to work with, those conversations can happen between that and between the time that you have to commit to the school that you're going to attend to in the fall. So I am just the eternal optimist. And so therefore, if you do your part, then there is a high probability that all of this is going to work out in a way that everybody is happy with. Money, and you end up going to a school and working with a teacher that you want to, and so therefore it's just much easier if you don't know how much the school costs, because it may make you afraid to try.
So some advice that I have about how do I afford college. There's a lot of different types of assistance when it comes to paying for school. There's need-based loans, there's scholarships, and when you're applying to music, there's usually talent scholarships for your audition. There might also be, at the particular institution that you're applying to, academic scholarships. There's also private scholarships that you could qualify. So there's a lot of different things that you can put together to make a financial package that makes a school affordable for you. A word of advice is to make sure that you read the fine print on all of the scholarships, because I've heard of different institutions saying that you can, offering a student an academic scholarship and a talent scholarship and telling them you have to accept one or the other. So, when you get a scholarship offer, if you get an academic and talent scholarship, can those scholarships be combined? If you get, likewise, if you get a need-based offer, some need-based offers, especially some of the ones that are specific to the state of Illinois, are based on your academic record. Are those, they're informed by your academic record? Can those be combined with talent scholarships? So making sure that you're seeing how all of those things can combine so that you know what your bottom line is. And the bottom line is going to be what the most important thing that you're going to want to look at. Every institution, private institutions, public institutions, conservatories, all have a different tuition price. And so be careful about getting wooed by a school with a giant scholarship offer, because if their bottom line, if their tuition is $50,000 a year and you get a $25,000 scholarship, well, you're still having to pay $25,000 a year. So don't put a lot of value in what that number is, what the amount of the scholarship is, but so much as what is your bottom line going to be as a parent to pay for the remaining expenses.
I would just to add and clarify a few points as well. Don't forget to ask if this carries over for 4 years or plus, or are these 1-year scholarships? Because you don't want to be in a position where the first year looks great and then suddenly you can't afford to stay at your chosen institution because it doesn't carry forward. The tide is turning a little bit in that many schools now are putting their best offer forward first for you. So don't take it personally and don't think it as a negative if you ask for a review of the financial aid package and it comes back the same. In an effort to provide more transparency, we aren't negotiating necessarily as much as once was common. So don't be offended if the package is the best package offered. And then just as far as some logistics are concerned, the world of financial aid has changed so much in the last few years, since 2008. And since some of you might have gone or graduated to college. So know that the FAFSA is going to be your first step at most schools for financial aid that's need-based aid. And that FAFSA will be changing here in just a few years to make it easier to fill out, but it also changes the way that the federal government assesses your family's contribution limits. So that's just something to pay attention to. Some schools like St. Olaf, who meet full demonstrated financial need, also ask for the CSS profile, which is similar to the FAFSA, but asks the questions slightly differently so we can have a different financial aid picture of your family. And both of those forms, the FAFSA and the CSS profile, opened on October 1st. So for those of you who are parents of seniors, those forms are available now. And typically you can expect to fill out the FAFSA each year. So if you're a student on this call, know that this financial aid information is directly related to your ability to go to college. You should be helping your parents fill out this information as well, because you should be invested in your process.
Thank you. Well, I feel like I learned a lot there too. Don't be afraid of the sticker price, and also advocate for yourself and read the fine print. So good lessons to take away with us. I'm seeing lots of great comments come through in the Facebook Live comments. So keep those coming. We'll get to those in just 1 second. So sorry to keep you all waiting. We just have one more question we wanted to cover, which is what if you begin attending music school of whatever variety, and then have a change of heart and decide you no longer want to specialize in performance? What then? Molly, would you like to respond to that?
Sure. This is where paying attention to those fine details of scholarships is really important, because some scholarships do require you to continue being a music major. Some do not. Some just have participation requirements where you can change your major, but as long as you take lessons and are involved in an ensemble, you can keep the music scholarship. And that's the way it is at St. Olaf. This in some ways goes back to our very first conversation of what type of school are you looking to apply for? Some schools, if you choose to change your major, it's not going to be offered at the school that you are at, and you will have to transfer. Fortunately, the transfer process at most schools has gotten much easier. And so you could, it might set you back a semester, but it's possible and not the end of the world if you have to transfer. Other schools like St. Olaf and I believe the University of Illinois, you're at a place where there are many, many, many options, and most students come in undecided. You maybe came in as a decided music performance major, but you are surrounded by other opportunities. You studied abroad, fell in love with something else, and it's not the end of the world to change your major. But it's a very, very good question to ask at the start is when you're talking to those of us on this call, as well as your lesson teachers and current students. The current students are the ones who are going to give you the true story of how easy or not easy it is to change your major when you're at a specific school.
Angela, did you want to comment on that one too?
No, I think that was a really great response.
All right.
A lot of that information is, the same at the University of Illinois as far as how easy it is to change your major to another major within the University of Illinois.
Sure. Adrienne, any closing thoughts on that?
Yeah. The thing is that the skills that it is required in order for you to be a successful musician are skills that can be applied to any career, and you will also be successful at that career. So there are all kinds of options, including completing your music training. And I know people who have done this and have gone on from that to graduate school in business or to law school or to med school. And so it's not something that you should feel like that you have boxed yourself in, because if you think about all of this discipline and skills that it takes, and being able to analyze and work in a team and adjust to the situation around you, all of those skills will enable you to be successful at whatever career you eventually choose.
Adrienne, I would just echo that so strongly. At most colleges and universities, your major is not a job title. And the skills that you are learning, especially as a musician, the idea of collaboration with others, the idea of dedication and focus, that is all so innate to the music process that if you are passionate, don't worry about what exactly your career is going to be afterwards, because very rarely in today's world do people keep the same career for a lifetime. So just know that you're preparing yourself and building all of those soft skills that employers are looking for in today's workforce. And you'll be able to lead that well because you were a section leader. You've had that leadership experience.
Yeah, thank you. All of your comments are ringing in my ears as I remember I was interviewing a lawyer from a big firm in Chicago for something last week, and he said as they were screening potential first-year lawyers, the things that they gave extra bonus points to for everyone was participation in college athletics, excellence in music, in any form of music, or active military service, all as different ways to show people who are really motivated and excellent at a difficult thing. And so, being really good at your instrument counts the same as being really good at something else. And it speaks really highly of your ability and your discipline and your motivation and all that other good stuff. All right, well, we are gonna get to some of the questions from Facebook. The first one is from Hayden. sorry, Hayden, if I pronounce that wrong, Joyce, who asked, in a situation where there are multiple teachers for your instrument, do you get to choose your teacher? Is this choice limited by factors like year and degree? Would anyone like to respond to that one?
I can share that in our school, students are assigned to teachers, and definitely there will be conversations with the dean and with the faculty to decide what's the best. What's the decision about that? But that's what happened in our school.
At some schools, on the application, they allow you to select your teacher preference. And in some cases, what you list as your preference is the studio that you are auditioning for. So if that teacher has so many X number of spots, since you indicated that you are interested in that teacher, they're listening for one of those spots in that particular studio. They may also have the option of, this teacher or any, this is my first choice or one of the others, so that you can potentially audition for any of the spots, but this is your preference for that faculty member. At Illinois, if you have a specific request for a teacher, my advice is always to cultivate a relationship with that particular teacher. Have a virtual lesson with them, or if that's, or an in-person trial lesson, if that's possible. If that's not possible, even just emailing them and talking to them about their studio or their teaching philosophy is a good way to start a relationship with the faculty member. And that way, when it does come to making assignments for particular studios, that teacher knows they've been working with you, so they will know that you have that interest in their studio, and they will request you as their student after the admissions decisions are made.
Great, thank you. Any other thoughts? Oh, go ahead, Adrienne.
This is one of those things where your research, finding out things like that, whether you get to choose the teacher, whether the teacher is choosing their students, and being able to, find out those things in advance can help you to know, because it's different at different schools, and you can ask students that are already there, so that you can kind of strategize what is the best way for you to kind of get what you think. And, as they mentioned, it has to do with a teacher who may have more openings. You might choose, if this is a school that you really want to go to, and one of the teachers has more openings, then you might even strategically say, this is the teacher that I want, because it may increase your ability to be accepted. So yeah, research should play into that. I very much encourage students, once a teacher selection has been made, if they haven't had an opportunity to meet that teacher, for them to see if they can do a trial lesson or a conversation with them before they commit to the school that they're going to accept, so that they know more about that teacher before they make a final commit to a school.
Thanks, Adrienne. Great, thank you. Definitely some strategy there to consider. Question from Carmen Holly, who said they're the parent of a student who plays clarinet. Can you all speak to the racial and ethnic demographics of your program?
Sure, I can pop in. So St. Olaf has 3,000 students. Out of those 3,000 students, about a third of our campus participates in music. The numbers that I have are for the whole campus, but it is pretty well equally replicated within the music department as well. About 22% of our students self-reported being domestic students of color, and an additional 10% of our students are international students. Those are numbers that have greatly increased in the last decade and are numbers that we are continuing to evaluate because we want our campus to be more representative of the world around us and for students to bring their authentic selves to campus.
At the University of Illinois, of course, the U of I is a predominantly white institution, but diversity and inclusion is something that's very important to us and has been important to us for some time. About 22% of our student population in the School of Music identifies as underrepresented, but we have we've put a lot of thought and care into how we can make our spaces and our programs more attractive to students, underrepresented students. So there's been a lot of initiatives that we have pursued in the past several years, including changes to our curriculum. We are considering a wider array of styles of music in our curriculum. And not that, you know, if you're coming from a classical background, not that you are going to become like a hip hop performer, but how can hip hop music aid you in your classical development? So some kind of interesting things and the way that classes are taught too, and you know, kind of breaking down some notions of colonialism in how our classes are taught is something that we're really passionate about right now too. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens in the next several years, but we are excited to welcome students to our program of all races and ethnicities, and also expand our curriculum to be more inclusive to more types of styles of music.
So Mary or Adrienne, any thoughts on that, or finding belonging when you arrive at university?
Yes, definitely. Can you hear me okay? Yes, right, sorry. Yeah, actually, in our school, 40% of our students are international students. And definitely, as my colleagues are describing, we are in a new era where we want to diversify, and our faculty are working on that programmatically and also in the repertoire. You can see that. And we, in our admissions department, we want to engage and we want to make Curtis application process more accessible and equitable. So providing access and to engaging with anybody who wants to come and learn more about Curtis. So right now the demographics that I have is that one. And if you need more specific, feel free to reach out to me directly, belmary.lorcas@curtis.edu. I can share more information about that.
Great, thank you, everybody. For those who don't know CYSO stats, we are graduating 70% students of color at the moment. And so I'll just echo what Adrienne said, that somebody's got to win that spot. And, you know, it's important to feel like the university community that you choose is one where you feel comfortable and seen and accepted and nurtured in all the ways that you are seeking. But also, you know, we just encourage all of you to go out there and win good spots. All right, good question from John Ye, our friend from the CSO. These days, how many music schools should each student apply to? Is there a magic number or range people should have in their minds? Adrienne, would you like to chime in on that?
So I would say probably you should look at least 4. You can do more. And if you are doing a combination of live in-person visits and virtual you know, kind of where you're submitting materials, you actually probably, if you wanted to apply to a bigger number, because of that, you can. So it's kind of, if you have done what you can to make sure that you have allowed space in your schedule. We love for kids to allow space in their schedule to be able to practice when they are seniors. So if you are not taking a full load of AP classes, then you could think of applying to more schools, especially, you know, because if you're traveling, you will not have to come back and have to make up gobs of work that you've missed. So you could think of applying to more schools. And if some of the processes are virtual, then you could add even more. So I have known kids that have done like 7 or 8, and they were okay. And last year, because everything was virtual, one of our graduates actually applied to 17 schools.
I would chip in too that it's good to apply to schools you're actually interested in. This is not a time to apply to as many as you can just to see how many scholarships you get. Think about the end goal of actually attending one. And for you, if that's 2 schools that you're interested in and would actually be happy at, it's okay to just apply to 2 schools. So you need to figure out for yourself what feels comfortable, what feels manageable, because as we've gone through, these are processes that are really labor intensive. So make sure that you're doing what's best for you. I was at a conference recently, and for musical theater, and the average number of schools that students who are going into musical theater programs apply to is 12. And that's the average. So just know that it's a lot. You don't have to meet that average, but do what's best for you and choose schools to apply for that are actually on your interest list.
Great, thank you. Question from Christopher Grimes. A question we've been puzzling over. Our daughter is a junior. Would she be applying through the Common App this year and then submitting her audition video or appearing for a live audition for senior year?
The application process is, I think for most schools, is entirely in the senior year. So U of I just joined the Common App this year, and I think we opened applications on September 1st, right around then. So you would apply, you know, in the fall time. Usually it goes, as Molly said earlier, the application deadlines are different for different schools, but the application process that from start to finish happens entirely in the senior year.
Great, thank you. Question from John Ellert. For large state schools, what's a good way to assess whether a school is a reach, a mid, or a slam dunk? How do you figure that out for yourself?
Oh, well, thinking about the different state schools in Illinois, I know that each of the state schools have different standards as far as academics go. And so I would, and each, you know, programs are different for that matter. So if you're looking at a music school at Eastern Illinois University versus the U of I, the standards are going to be very different. I think this comes down to just doing your research ahead of time. The U of I publishes some information on their admissions website about, you know, the average GPA sorts of that students are getting, that the middle 50% of students are getting for each particular major. And so if you need help finding that sort of information, sometimes it can be buried. I would recommend contacting the admissions department of that institution.
Great. Any other thoughts on that one? Cool. Another one from John again. What are the top questions to prepare as a student engaging with faculty at a school? What are some of the best questions to ask a professor that you can use to help assess fit? Thoughts on that one?
I think something that I hear a lot is, what is the size of the studio? So you can kind of gauge, you know, what the competition is going to be for your particular instrument in for ensemble places, and how much time you might get with that particular faculty member. So that's a good one. Also, any questions that get at what the community is like within that particular studio. And what I mean specifically is how the students in that studio interact with competition. There's some studios that are very competitive with each other. You know, the students are very, very competitive, to the point where it might even feel a little cutthroat. And that might be an environment that you really thrive in. Or the environment might be really supportive with students helping. There's just a whole range, and that like sort of micro community is really cultivated by that individual faculty member. So I mean, I don't know exactly what the question would be, but those are, you know, as you figure out, is this location right for me? Is this teacher right for me? These are the ways that you can really narrow in on your search, is kind of finding out if that environment is right for you.
You can also ask things like, what do you think I need to work on? So that can give you an idea of what that teacher might emphasize for you. And so, for instance, if you are a student who, say, feels like musicality is one of your strengths, but what you really want to do is to shore up your technique, you can ask questions like that. And then if the teacher talks about musicality more than technique, then that could help you to make a decision, or vice versa. And so it's like, is the teacher going to give you what you kind of perceive that you need in order to make the next step? Because what I tell kids is that music is a little bit different. It's like if I go and get an engineering degree, when they give me that piece of paper, I usually can go and get a job. When I go and get a music degree, my training may not be complete. I may be continuing to do grad school or training orchestras or other things in order to prepare for the career that I really want. So what is it that I need in order to prepare myself to keep those options open for me? The things that I think that I want to do, what do I need to do to keep those options open for me? And what can I accomplish in these 4 years? And what potentially may I need to continue to work on once I graduate?
And then the final thing I would add that's a good thing to ask, and it might be a better question of current students than of professors, is what your first year experience is actually going to look like on campus. Which ensembles actually accept first years? Who teaches first year lessons and first year classes? All colleges have really great programs, but what is your chance of participating in some of those top ensembles and top environments? Or do you have to work your way up? So that's just a good reality check to understand how the process works at each institution.
Great. And then final question, do colleges allow high school students to shadow college students or audit classes for a day or two to see if the school / teacher / subject is a good fit?
I think this was a much simpler answer before COVID. Now we are all under different state guidelines yet again. Some schools are open to visitors, some schools are not. Some, you just have to double check with the school that you're looking at regarding if they're open to visitors, and if they are, what are the requirements that you can come visit. But it never hurts to ask. I know that we all are desperate for you all to be able to come visit, to sit in classes and experience a day on our campuses. Don't forget to eat some food, whether it's local restaurants or the cafeteria, because you are going to be spending 4 years at this place. You want to make sure it's a place that you feel that you could be successful. And it's not always an instant feeling either. So if you don't get that magical spark, don't worry, it still could be a really good fit for you as well.
Belmary, did you want to mention again those Zoom calls with current students that Curtis is offering?
Sure. Well, right now we're implementing those, and what we are doing right now, if you are interested in learning more about Curtis or any specific faculty, they can email us at admissions@curtis.edu. And we are organizing in a structured way weekly Zoom meetings with current students. And we have our next one is on October 13th. And we're honestly experimenting to see what with this new era. Our buildings right now are closed to the public. They will be closed. I mean, they are closed. I don't want to say until when, but I think it's until January or February. We'll see. We have to check everything. So instead of doing that right now, we don't have the possibility to do any virtual tours or anything like that. So we are creating during these Zoom calls. Also, we are adding a little bit of touring our buildings there, and everything is just making just being welcoming and trying to support our prospective students with all their questions. And so far, it has been great. Our admissions ambassadors are great ambassadors. So I'm happy to share their experiences.
I would imagine too, I don't know for sure this, but compared to, in the pre-pandemic times, there may be more media available for what university ensembles sound like, what studio class or studio performers sound like. And so wherever those live, YouTube or on university websites or wherever, make sure you peruse around and try to listen to the people who would be your colleagues. Does anyone have a thought on that? Am I spitballing in the wrong direction? Is that true?
That's true. That's
okay.
And that's also what we suggest every time, students reach out. Just follow us on social media, go to our YouTube channel. And we're trying to also, I'm talking about admissions department, to create and use what we have as a resource for the students to engage with them. So.
Great. And then final one that just came in from Bob Santore. He's curious about post-graduation support. So do universities, the schools that you all work with, assist with careers, networking, job placement, all the stuff that students will face when they're an alum of your institution?
Yes, so at the University of Illinois, we actually start working on this before students graduate. So when they're an upperclassmen, we have a career services office to support students with job searches and internships while they're still a student. We've had a lot of success with students placing in summer internships at major music organizations and festivals across the country. And so that's a great way to start building your resume before you even graduate, so that you're marketable when you start to apply for positions and audition at various places. So yes, we have a career services office that assist with cover letter writing, job searching, resume building, and all of that kind of thing.
Similarly, we have the Piper Center for Career and Vocation that works with students starting their very first year on campus to not only prepare them for resumes, grad school applications, internships, But they also can help provide funding for some of those summer camps and summer music workshops that can be spendy. And also really help you analyze, like, is performance the life you want? Or can you use your music degree for something like arts administration or music therapy or other related fields, or maybe even something completely different. And oftentimes these centers on each of our campus are open to you after you graduate as well, knowing that perhaps you have a change of heart or you need some help a couple of years afterwards as well.
Great. Yeah, your university will be a community that supports you as you launch, and that's always an important thing to also to consider in selecting the right place for you. Well, I think that's all of our questions. Do any of our panelists have a final thought before we close?
I just wanted to say, I know that the process of finding schools and applying is really stressful, and it often feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders as a student. But I hope what was made clear by all the panelists today is that there are a number of different, you almost can't go wrong. If you do your research, you will find the right place for you, and you will be successful in that program. And if you make a mistake and you find yourself not in the right program, it's not the end of the world if you transfer. Students transfer all the time. They transfer programs, they transfer institutions. And so I hope that gives you a little bit of solace as you feel like, this is a very heavy decision. It's an important decision, to be sure, but you really can't go wrong with all of the great faculty and institutions that are out there.
I would like to add something. So I keep saying enjoy the process, even though if it's overwhelming, just enjoy every single step. Of course, enjoy the connections you make along the way. You are unique and you will be successful in anything that you do. Of course, that's something that we have to keep that in mind all the time. Be flexible and open to new opportunities, of course, and do what you love. That's very important.
I would just say, don't be afraid to ask for help. While a lot of information is on our websites and all of the information you should need to know is there, know that there are real people behind those websites. All of us here on the call, financial aid offices are staffed by real people. So if that's scary to you, feel free to reach out to them. We all just want to help you in this process. So don't be afraid to connect with us, because we want to help you on this journey.
Adrienne, any final words of wisdom?
Just that it is a great blessing in life to be able to make a living doing something that doesn't feel like a job. So I know that sometimes because of uncertainty, people may not want to try because they are afraid that, in the end, they will have trouble supporting themselves or blah, 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 blah in respect to music. But the thing is that if you have the soul of a musician, then I just want to encourage you to be courageous, to follow it through, to give it 100%, to see what you can make of it. There are many different avenues and ways to make a living where you can be associated with music. And I just don't want students to be afraid to try because of something that they think might happen, but they don't know for sure. Just, if this is what you love, then just go for it, because you'll probably figure out a way to make it work for you.
That's very well said, Adrienne. Thank you. And then all of you who are watching, one fun fact I'll share before we sign off is that you all who are in this process now and going through it, the class we just graduated in the spring, we surveyed them and they reported about 70% of them were going on in music, but that crew of students received $5.5 million in merit-based scholarship for university, mostly for music. So, you know, you're just as good as the kids last year. Everything's going to work out. It's going to be great. So we just wish you the best. Our 4 panelists have very generously provided their contact information. So that's in the comments here. So do reach out. They're just a click away and now you know them and their faces. And then I just like to thank our panelists for just really thoughtful and helpful, informative content and for spending your evening with us. So thank you very much, all 4 of you. And we'll sign off for the night. Thank you all very much for watching.